So what I want to do here, and what Dyson and I have been talking over the last couple of days, couple of weeks about a couple of different things with regard to artists. And as you guys know, the whole, I use the word fiasco when it came to the independence celebration, definitely sparked a nerve in the artist community. And there is a forum that I'm a part of, and none of you other PDs are actually a part of it at this point. But I'm quite sure Lady E, who actually kind of spearheaded this, would probably like for you guys to be a part of it. But there's a large community of artists who have been getting together on a regular basis to talk about the project that is coming up with regard to this Bahamian show that Dyson is definitely spearheading and putting together. So out of that conversation have come a lot of different conversations, and we thought we wanted to have somewhat of a more educational component when it comes to letting the artists know how music is selected to be on the radio, what the criteria is, what we look for, what we like, what we don't like, how we like it to be submitted, some of the things that will help them better understand how the radio side of the industry actually works, and to hear it directly from the PDs. And like, we don't have all the PDs in the country on here, but we do have some significant individuals with us on here with us today that do represent what I think is some of the major, which definitely represents the major amount of airplay, especially when it comes to with regard to secular music in the market, and also those stations that are going to be more apt to play Bahamian artists, Bahamian music, and also and not just the traditional sounding music, but also what the guys are promoting out there, producing out there, that is, R&B, hip hop, and the other genres of music that they like to produce, or what they're into. So that's kind of like what this is all about. We want to look at it from an educational standpoint for the artist, and if they have any questions, we definitely will welcome them. And just to give some of you who may not know me, I'm Eric Ward, better known as Eric D, formerly of Tribune Radio back in the day, 100 Jamz, Koolz, all of the stuff that had to do with Tribune. I helped to develop that product. Now with 92.5 Bahamian and Nuttin, developing that product. And I'll give the PDs an opportunity to introduce themselves as we move forward, so you can know who they are. If they want to show their faces, some of them don't want to be seen because they don't want you fronting them in public. But Eddie, do you have to eat?
7 o'clock, man.
Okay, all right. Just checking, man. Just checking. So before I let the PDs come on board and give their tell you guys who they are, I'll give the floor to Dyson so that he can give you a little bit of an overview from his perspective as an artist, and what we hope to accomplish with this platform.
Yeah, thanks, Eric, and thanks everyone, all the program directors. This is huge. Coming up and spending so many years learning the industry from the wind, I must say that this is something that I wanted to do. We dabbled with it before Big L and C-Note. But I hear firsthand what the artists have to say about trying to get the music on radio stations and feeling as though there's some form of Illuminati or some secret, I don't know, meditation you have to go into in order to get your music to the program directors and actually get them to put their music on air. So I think understanding the part of the business that goes beyond just creating the music is very important for the artists, considering that we don't have major labels or agents that push our music for us and have that relationship with the radio stations as it is in many other parts of the world. So with that said, I'm hoping that there's some competition. Who having party in the background?
That sounds like Epic. Epic, mute your mic for us, please. Anyway, I'll mute it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the artists that are in here, all the information that is shared from the program directors, that you're able to share that with persons that would it would help. And that's what we're trying to do right now with this movement is to really beef up our smarts and organize ourselves in a way whereas we can be recognized internationally. It's not just about getting your music abroad, it's about getting your entire product abroad. We already exposed to the global market by being one of the biggest brands in the world, being the Bahamas. So we need to ensure that our socks are pulled all the way up anytime someone travels into our country and looks and seeks for our sound and our music and wants reiteration of what does happen abroad for some of us. We want to bring up the entire industry. So I want us to be respectful to the program directors. Understand that I'm telling you as an artist that they are not against us. They are actually for us. And the things that they have to say in this Zoom meeting is going to be beneficial to you if you pay attention, you take heed, and yes, just soak in this wisdom. So thanks everybody for coming.
All right, thank you very much. And I'll go down the line and give the PDs an opportunity. Jamal is actually first in my frame, but I'm gonna make him last. Joey.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm giving you an opportunity to introduce yourself and the station that you work with and a little bit of your background, please.
All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Like Eric said, Joey / Joe Koolz. That's what everybody basically call me. Know me as 103.5 The Beat. That's who I represent. And basically, I came up in the industry under the guy who was talking right now, who called me Joey, Eric. Started off with Jamz from ground zero, doing remotes, and basically just kept evolving until I got to the point where I'm at right now. So that's where I'm at.
All right, thanks, Joey. I'll go to Big L next.
Yeah, sorry about that. Similar story to Joe, but the only difference, my story started and is continuing at 194. Similar, started off in sales, got myself into the other departments to the point where I am now the program director. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony.
Yes, sir.
Give your story, man. Tony gonna have a long story, okay?
Yeah, get comfortable.
I'm gonna make it short though. Tony Williams. I started at ZNS under the Mr. Charles Carter, the late, and the rest of the crew, Ed Bethel and Jeff Scavala, all those Gordon Lowe's and stuff like that. I started as a production assistant actually, and I was given the opportunity to become an announcer, and Jeff Scavala gave me that opportunity. And from there, I moved to Love 97 in 1994, where I became the program director with Wendell Jones. I spent about 14 or 15 years there. Then another opportunity presented itself where we were, three of us left Jones and went into partnership with the Nassau Guardian. And we created Love 97, not Love 97, that's where I was first. We created Star 106. Later, we also created Hot, and then the Nassau Guardian came around at Guardian Radio, which I am also affiliated with. So I'm presently at the Nassau Guardian with Star 106, Nassau Guardian, Hot 91. Programming director directly for Star. I started out as the only program director for Hot, but C-Note came along and now that's his job.
All right, well, he's not going to be next, I can tell you that much. Eddie.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Eddie Carter. I guess I got into radio by the mere fact that I am Charles Carter's son. I guess I was destined. I used to do remotes for clients with Carter Marketing. And then an opportunity came up to audition to be Eric's co-host. As a matter of fact, in 100 Jamz, that must have been like 24, 25 years ago now, if not even longer, probably longer than that, naturally. So I joined Eric there. I think I won the audition. I worked with Eric for about 2 years, maybe 3 years. And then the family got a radio license. At that point, I left Eric and I became a program director. And I curse Eric almost every day because he did not warn me what I was getting myself into. He did not tell me I'd be working slave hours for slave pay, but here I am. So I've been a PD at Island FM 102.9 for over 21 years now, for gone 21 years. And everyone knows we try to keep Bahamian music and culture alive. And I think I'd like to agree with what Dyson said a little bit earlier. It is a partnership. I've always viewed, especially on the, like Eric mentioned, on the local level, I've always considered us partners, the radio stations and the musicians. I think we need one another. I think we're both better at our jobs and create better products when we work hand in hand. So anything that can be done to make sure that it comes down to quality. Conversation is going to all come down to quality at some point. And that's what it's all about. The better quality that's presented in the marketplace, the better it is for all of us.
All right. Thank you very much, Eddie. We'll go to C-Note now.
All right. So out of everybody, I think my path into radio was a little bit different. I actually started in South Florida at underground radio, at an underground radio station. That was the path I kind of got into. I honestly got into radio in the Bahamas by mistake. I attended a wedding that Steve attended, and the person that was sitting between me and Steve had never met Steve a day before in my life. Started having a conversation about me doing DJing and doing stuff on the radio in the States. And I think I met with Eric the next day or 2 days later. And a week later, 2 weeks later, I moved to the Bahamas. And that started my career in radio. Now, I don't think that there's anybody here that has worked at more radio stations than me, though. I've worked at quite a few.
And got fired from as many.
Difficult to get along with, I hear. Diva.
Yeah. So I mean, in regards to radio stations, I've kind of been to quite a few. I was at Jamz originally. Then I went to More 94 for a little while. Then I did some work with the station down in Turks and Caicos for a while. Then when I came back, I was at ZNS for a while, then a stint back at Jamz, then left Jamz, and now I've been with the Guardian Group with Hot. And literally when I started at Hot, I was just a radio personality. And just over time, talking and working with Eric, with Tony, I learned a lot more. And they started to trust me a lot more. I think that the hard to handle persona kind of maybe came off of me a little bit, and maybe I matured a little bit as well. And now I think we have a good relationship. I mean, they haven't fired me yet, so it's been 6 years. I'm doing good.
Yeah, you're doing good. That's as long as you've been anywhere.
Or you do.
Maybe the night will be the night.
Exactly right.
I expect to see you this week then.
I know, right? That's the only place I haven't been for real.
All right, we good.
That's because we can't afford you.
Now, and we got Jamal Rogers from Jamz. Go ahead, Jamal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamal Rogers. Some of you guys know me as Excitement. Started out as a local club DJ and was given an opportunity by Mr. Ward to join the Jamz family in, I think it was 2003. 2003.
Don't look at me, I don't remember.
That's my overall passion for music and to be great at what I do. I took the opportunity every day and I learned, and I was given another opportunity by Mr. Ward to become production manager moved on from production manager to music director, from music director to program director, and I am still currently the program director at 100 Times.
All right, sounds good. Well, I guess the conversation at this point should lean towards, as Eddie said, we talk a lot about quality. Wait a minute, hold on. Melissa, is that you from ZNets? I thought I saw Melissa.
Yes.
All right. Hi, Melissa.
I was just going to sit here quietly. Maybe I figure I could just, duck under the radar. Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Knowles from ZNS. I am currently the coordinating producer / supervisor. You're looking for who programming directors, so I guess I kind of got stuck with that task. I've been there now 17 years, I think. Back and forth television, that's most of it. So went to TV, came back, radio. So here I am. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Melissa. I used to work with her too.
We assume so.
Look at Ricardo.
You've worked with everybody on the screen.
They got all the program director for all the radio stations here. They have a Zoom meet.
Sweet Emily. Sweet Emily. Hi.
Hey, how you know I'm on?
Because you're talking. We can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was telling my husband. I'm sorry.
Mute your mic.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right, so as Eddie mentioned earlier, we do look for quality. So I'm gonna ask you guys, well, I'm gonna give you a little bit of an idea of my approach, and then we can talk with the other program directors if they concur, they don't concur, and then we'll kind of open up for some questions. But I sent a message out the other day in the chat, in the chat. Johnny Cake is coming on, not muted. Mute him too. In the entertainment chat, and I talked about the way artists submit music to the radio station, and I think that's kind of like how this kind of grew with Dyson and I out of that message that I sent. And I'll tell you a little quick story about that and what happened. I received an email from a local artist, and the email had really no pertinent information attached to it. It was and it also was an email that was instructing me to do something in order for me to hear the music. I think he asked me to go to SoundCloud and or something like that. And I said in the chat that most program directors, if not all, are not going to take or make 2 or 3 steps to get to the opportunity to hear your music. And the point I was trying to make was, when you deliver music to the radio station, there's a way to do that. And the way to do that is to send me personally the music where I can actually click on it and listen to it right then and there. All right, because some of us, if not all, we may have different days where we go back and listen to music. We may not listen to music every time it comes to us. We may take, back in the old days, it used to be, a Tuesday when I used to work at 102 Jamz in Orlando. The program director would only listen to music on a Tuesday. That was it. He wouldn't listen to it any other day, no matter who it was or how it came to him, because that was his day, out of his day, that he would listen to music. And I think to a certain extent that may happen with some of the program directors that we have on in the meeting today, that we can't be, we're not going to be searching around to find your music. Present it to us. Song title, artist, maybe a short little bio. When I say short, I mean short bio. It doesn't have to be a dissertation. And then a link right there, or a download right there that I can click on in my browser and I can listen to your music right then and there. So that when I group all of the emails that come to me together, I can just go right down the line, boom, 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 and listen to them and make whatever decisions I'm going to make at that point. Either I'm going to move them into a rotation, or I'm going to hold on to them. Sometimes we'll get a situation where we'll get 4 or 5 songs from an artist, and then the artist is leaving it up to us at that point to choose which one we want to put into our rotation. And then sometimes it may not even be the one that the artist wants to be played first. And then sometimes the artist will come back and say, I want you to play all of them one time. And that's just not going to happen. We're going to pick one song, and then we're going to see if we have a slot for that song to be played. So that's just a quick overview from from my perspective as to how I've done it over the years and how I continue to do it as we move forward. So I'll give the other programs and directors an opportunity at this point to give us their give their feedback as to the process that they use. Any one of you can jump in.
Well, I'll jump in. I'll go ahead and jump in on that one. With me, it's very simple. I don't have a day in a week that I go by like that. I take it as it comes. Eric's absolutely right. Like in everything in life, first impression is important too, right? If you send me a song that has all the information I need, definitely you have a much better chance of that song instantly going out there. Like I said, I do it on a daily as email pops into me. As you've already discovered, I am not very techy. Right? So the more work I have to do, like Eric just said, the more work I got to do to listen to that song. I'm sorry, I got a whole bunch of other things I got to do during my day. I don't know how the other PDs do. I know I'm a little unique in the sense that I'm like a small family operation. You tend to do a lot more different things. So I agree. It needs to be short, sweet, to the point, and easily accessible. And the volume's got to be right too. I ain't going in there. I ain't going to tweak with your volumes and try to get it so it sound good on radio. And stop sending me cussing music for those doing that other music, right? You're sending me this music, man. And why? Why even bother sending me a non-radio edited piece of music? Why bother?
Yeah, and I'll chime in, and I get stuff like that too sometimes, and it's like, nah, it's not gonna fly. And then that also sends a bad impression for the artist or the artist representative that they don't know how to target the music that they're creating. Tony, I guess you can go next. Eh?
Yeah, I get the same problem too. I think artists, they do themselves a disfavor when they send you 5 different songs and say play them all. And also when they send you songs with foul language in it, because like Eddie said, I'm not going to go and edit your stuff. If the first time when I hear the first word, I'm going to say, what the heck are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? And also I think some of the artists don't know the formats of the radio station. And you have some songs that can play on Jamz and Hot, and you would send it also to me. And I'm sure Eddie would also get it sometimes too. Mm-hmm. So you need to know where you're sending your music. And I don't think it's too difficult to while you're in studio to do an edited version of a song that can play on an adult or contemporary station. You got to rap in there, take out the rap, and you can get more airplay. So I think you need to put more work and also more consideration and say, look, these guys also have other things to do. They're not going to edit your stuff. Like Eric said, if I got to go all of these different steps to get it, I'm going to forget because there's a lot on our plate. Okay.
All right, Mr. Note, you can go ahead.
Yeah, concur with everything you guys said. One of the major things is don't send the song in all these different weird formats. Send it as an MP3, send it as a wave. Those are industry standard. Any one of these guys from the oldest to the youngest is going to be able to open up an MP3 or a wave file. Very simple, right? So don't send all of these funny things to check out, because especially if you're an artist, and I'm sure Jamal and some of the other urban station program directors, music directors are going to tell you. We kind of, at least for me, I kind of go by a track record. Like if you are an artist that I know has a track record of making hits, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit more of the benefit. That's a good song, boy. There
Really
you go,
nice.
Reds. That's Reds. um, yeah, so I'm going to kind of give you a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But again, don't send me a song that does not. That's that you don't. I mean, like I get emails that say track number one. And the actual file says track number one. That's what the file says, right? And then the email doesn't even contain the name of the song or the art. It may contain the artist, but not the name of the song. And then I'm supposed to go and put that. You don't have no meta tag information in there. Maybe that's something we can kind of start to explain to them about. Like you have to have those basic details in there because, you know, I don't know about the excitement probably gets more of it than I do, but we get a lot. I get a lot of, you know, local artist music. And so I just go through my email and I kind of download all of them. But if it says track number one, by the time I've already left your email, I don't know whose song that is anymore. And so that just goes into the big, you know, that was kind of like before we got into the stage of getting all the emails where guys would drop a CD off, right? And the CD, I've seen it where the CD doesn't have a name on it. It's just a blank CD.
Plenty of them.
Right? It's a blank. So for us, that just goes in the junk pile. If you can't take the time to
why my phone didn't blink.
Yeah. if you can't take the time, first off, to, like they said, to know the format, right? To know the format of the radio station that you're sending it to. And then secondly, to at least label your song properly. I'm not going to take the time to listen to it. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not converting anything. Oh, you could just convert it. I had somebody literally hit me up on Instagram this week and tell me or ask me if they should send me a radio edited version. It's a Bahamian artist now. If they should send me a radio. And so I just asked him, well, what do you think? And he got offended. He was like, well, why can't you just answer me? I was like, well, why don't you just understand the industry that you're trying to submit music to?
C-Note, whilst you're here, can you just expand on format? You mentioned format a lot of times, and you know, PDs understand the jargon, but the artists really don't. So when you talk about radio format, go ahead.
Yeah, so you know, the beat is on here. More 94, one of the Jamz, and Hot 91 were basically an urban, I guess you say / Caribbean style radio stations, right? So we're gonna more go towards, you know, artists that are playing hip hop, reggae, that kind of stuff. If you are a Christian artist, maybe, I mean, you could maybe send it to us because there have been some crossovers, right? Ricardo Clark is a great example of a crossover artist, but you're not going to hear, like, you know, on a normal rotation, you're not going to hear that really with us unless our station has a specific slot that plays Christian music, maybe on Sunday, maybe, you know, something of that nature. But you know, if you're a neo soul artist or something, some stations may not play. So you got to kind of have an idea of what it is that station plays. What type of music does that station play? Do they just play anything just because it's a Bahamian artist? Or do they play it because of it's a particular genre? I think Eddie them maybe are a little bit more, if it's a Bahamian artist, they kind of play more of the genres than the rest of us do. And maybe, I'm not sure about Eric, but you know, Z&S, of course, maybe another option for you, but don't think that just because I'm a Bahamian artist that automatically you send it to Hot 91, it's going to fit into our rotation, our focus of music. So yeah, that would be the easiest explanation. You've got to know who you're sending it to.
All right, thanks a lot. You know, I want to give the other PDs an opportunity. We're going to go to Big L now. Is Big L there?
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to unmute it. Sorry. Well, these guys are so well spoken. Like they pretty much covered a lot of it. There is a real issue in terms of finding time to say listen to 3-4 tracks. I understand the artists. You know, there a lot of times they're not sure either what they think will be the song that gets played. Because as an artist, as a creative, you judge yourself harder than other people would. So you tend to actually be a little unsure what you think should be the song you push. But that is a struggle because, I mean, I can't. I don't have a lot of time to say I'm going to listen to 4 or 5 songs at any given from any given artist to say pick one. So I think the artist should take a chance with one particular single that they have like a strong feeling about. Probably have their own personal listening sessions with not just your close friends and family, but even some people who you feel as though could be objective. I mean, and that's an industry thing too, internationally, where you have smaller listening sessions and you choose your first single, second single, and even a third single, and you map out how you're going to market each one of these singles. So when you do release it, it's not just the radio airplay that you're focused on. There should be something to go along with the radio airplay, because the truth of the matter is, radio is going to do what it does. I mean, it's going to get you some notoriety, some respect. It's going to do what it does, but that additional marketing, that's really the difference between what a hit is from what's not a hit. I mean, again, radio will do what it does, but that extra push even causes the radio stations to feel as though this particular song should be in heavier rotation or should be paid a lot more attention to because of your marketing. That you can literally convince a program director, whether the program director likes that song or not. Proper marketing would convince that program director that he should play or she should play that song a lot more than it's already being played, because they're constantly seeing it or seeing you or hearing you, and it's just marketing. So along with submitting music, you should have some sort of follow-up on your own personal account as to how you're going to market your song and make sure that you give it your best in terms of making the song work for you. As it relates again to like C-Note said, in regards to format, that's really important too, because it's not necessarily that you wouldn't want to play the song, but it's like, where do I fit the song in? Especially those who do non-traditional gaming music. I think, believe it or not, this is my personal opinion though, I think Reagan State artists have it a little bit easier, because even though there's a good much of them, the music doesn't come out as often as you'd like it to come out. And it's a genre within itself where they're only competing with other people who might do rap or reggae. You have to also remember that the quality and the production of your work is not just going to be compared to other Bahamian artists. It's going to be compared to the genre you chose. So your rap song is going to be compared to the Drakes and the Kanyes and all that stuff. Because if you want us to move one of their songs to fit yours in, it has to be that kind of level or that kind of production, so that it at least makes sense for us to do something like that. So artists have to remember that as well. Like if you choose something outside of Reagan Scrape, you're competing against everybody who does what you decide to do. Not saying you can't do it, but just know that your competition level is a way bigger pool than those who do the Reagan Scrape or Gombe sound. Mm-hmm. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say.
All right, thanks a lot. Joey, Joe Koolz.
There we go. I can be honest, I basically would be redundant to repeat everything what everybody said. Everything was basically on point. If you are going to submit any type of music, the first thing is to make sure that someone can recognize it if you're not in the room. So labeling is very much important. And that's for every song, not just, all right, I'm going to send a group of songs and track 1, track 2, for real. You got to label everything so it could be easily identified, easily accessible, because listening to music is not our only job. We have a whole lot of other stuff to do. And sometimes when we do actually have that little window to listen to some music, the last thing you want to do is, oh man, who sent this? Wow, you know what I mean? So you just got to make sure that you label everything right. Formatting is a beautiful thing as well. The perfect example was, just like he said, if you're doing gospel, you can't send it to a secular station. You know what I'm saying? Or expect for them to put it in heavy rotation when you know what I'm saying? If you had done your homework, you probably could have targeted who you wanted to mess with and then go directly to them. And you got to push it like you push the very first song. Every song has to be pushed the same amount. So you could actually, like Big L was saying as well, so you could make it a hit. And we have to play it regardless. So everything that everybody said was basically on point, and all I could do is just put a stamp on it and say, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Joey. Jamal.
I agree with what everyone said. I think that as program directors, music directors, we all share the same issues with Bahamian artists. Um, my issue with a lot of Bahamian artists is the same as everyone else's, labeling with music, and stop relying on other people to send in your music. Oh, my boy say he send you the song. No, you form a relationship and you send me your music yourself. One, two, I program 4, 5 radio stations. So I can't sit down and listen to 10 songs and select a song from the 10 that you send me and pick one for rotation. I'm not
X,
gonna
not to cut you off, just to add on to what you said just now. What about the WhatsApp of music? Do you get that? Like in your phone, people WhatsApping their songs to you? I forgot that.
I get WhatsApps at 1,
Yes.
2 o'clock in the morning from certain
Yes.
artists. And then they wonder why I don't respond to them
Yeah.
or why I block them. You know, there's a right way and there's a wrong way.
WhatsApp is the wrong way.
Very much so. I mean, and I'll chime in there. I get songs from artists, and most of you know I got a relatively good ear. And then when I listen to it on my system, I'm like, so why you send me the file with the AUD in front of it? And it has been compressed so that it could be sent on WhatsApp, as opposed to like a Dylan McKenzie or Ray or Julian and those. They send me, if they're going to send me a MP3, they send me a high quality MP3, or they'll send me a wave. I don't have a problem converting a file if I need to from wave to MP3 or vice versa. But when, like the guy sent me the other day, he told me to go to SoundCloud and listen to music, and I was like, what? You know, that's not going to happen. So Melissa is here from ZNS. What are you running into there?
Okay, so obviously ZNS operates different from everybody else because most of the stations are urban stations. And ZNS has had this nasty, dirty little problem of accepting everybody's music. That's what we did in the past for as long as I can remember. And that was happening way before I got there. So we are changing the way we're doing things. And the one thing I need for artists to understand is that, firstly, we have to be mindful of our mandate because we know who we work for. The station's mandate, and beyond that, we have to understand the demographics. So the risque music, the extremely suggestive language, political undertones for certain songs, obviously we can't play that, especially in a season like this. So it's understood if you send the music and it doesn't get played, understand what it is, pardon me. We're also looking at the quality of music. So everybody thinks that because it is ZNS, you send your music and automatically it's supposed to be played. And we've gotten a lot of garbage, and we're in the process of cleaning up the database and weeding out all of those songs. So for a lot of artists, they can be disappointed because you're not going to hear your song anymore. And so we have also created a music committee. So now when you send music, it's maybe like a 5-member team, which consists of somebody I really appreciate, which would be Ronald Barefoot Sims, who has a great listening ear. And so, perhaps someone from mainstream production who will listen to the song. Yes, the music committee. Thank you, Wendy. Who will listen to the song, and we will go through that with a fine-tooth comb. And it doesn't matter if you're the best artist in the country or not. If it doesn't meet the criteria that we've set, it won't get played. And if you need for us to send you an email outlining why it's not being played, we'd be more than happy to do that for you.
You know what we do, Melissa? We play them at 2 o'clock in the morning. Right? 2:30 in the morning. I tell them, look, I support Bahamian music to the max. I don't want to discourage anybody, but this song will never see the light of day. It may play once a year at 2:35 a.m. Random morning.
Okay. Okay, but that's where we are. I think we got into doing that as well, but that's where we are, cleaning up the database. So what we're asking artists to do when you send your information, I'll post it, ZNS, what is it, ZNSradio@gmail.com. You're also gonna have to send your lyric sheet, the name of the artist, composer, writer. If they're different people, send that. We want all of that because obviously we archive those things and we leave bits of information in the system for artists who perhaps want to, for announcers, we call them, who perhaps want to talk about that particular artist, maybe what that artist has done in the past, just to get the public familiarized with that person, especially if they're a new artist. We are asking for the song to be digitally mastered, and it's we have to ask for that. But just like everybody else on this panel said, it's amazing how people send music to you. And lastly, not because you submit an entire CD full of music means that we are going to upload an entire CD full of music. However, you send your music. If you send 12 songs because that's your full album, it doesn't mean that all of them going on the radio. It's not gonna happen. So it's up to you to choose what you think is a good song for you to lead with, for you to get your name out there. We ain't gonna do that for you. And just as everybody said on this panel, there's cussing in your music. I don't want to have to edit that. I'm not interested in editing that. And if I have to edit that, I can be mad. And then the production people gonna have to be mad too. They can be mad.
Yeah, from Melissa, the rest of us will be mad. We just
We don't want that.
I want to use one song. Love the song, but I'm using it as an example. And it is KB's song, his latest song, Push Rich.
Rich, yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody has heard the song, somewhere in the chorus it says, well, everybody knows what Richard is short for. So we had a hell of a time trying to edit that particular word out of the chorus.
Hold on a minute, Melissa. Hold on a minute, Melissa. He didn't send you the other version of the song?
We didn't get that. We didn't. I didn't edit that because he wasn't.
No, it's still, he has an edited version. There are two versions of the song.
We didn't get that version.
Oh, well, I'll have to talk to him about that. See
so
yeah, I'll send it.
I have it. It's already been edited. It's already been
don't
edited.
Feel bad. I didn't get the song, the dirty or the clean version.
It wasn't meant for you.
No, but that's basically it. There are a lot of urban artists here. We would appreciate your music if it's clean version, clean to an extent. Mm-hmm. We would appreciate your music. We are trying to update the station as much as possible in terms of sound. So we're trying to, from the very old to the very young, we want it all. And so we would appreciate you sending your music. We had a little hacker situation, if you want to call it that. So if anybody wants to resend their music to us, we would really appreciate that as well. So I will drop the email in the chat so that everyone can have it. I'll send 3 emails. Our director, Dion Morris, I will leave my email as well, and the general email for radio. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Melissa, for that.
Eric.
Yes.
Just before you go, I know Christopher Roberts, who's a gospel artist, he asked a question just a second ago.
All right, go ahead.
Chris, can you ask the question, because I'm not sure properly, so go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Hey, Melissa, I was quite intrigued, quite pleased to hear of the committee kind of thing where you have a committee of persons listening to the music. Well, I've always advocated that. And my question is, because I know primarily you guys are talking about secular music, primarily, seemingly. But I wanted to know if that panel, that committee, is also in place at ZNS with regards to gospel music, because one of the challenges I've had over the years is I always thought it was unfair, the practice of ZNS, and this would not be me because I'm new to the recording aspect of this thing. I just put out my first album last year, but I'm talking years ago. I'm talking about from the Vaughn Miller, those kind of times, and Whitfield Hutchison, those kind of times where, you know, you'd go into a Sunday morning service and somebody recorded the hymn on their phone, or well, back then their cassette player, and then next thing you know, it's getting, all kind of airplay on the radio. And while I love the hymns, I'm a church guy, I just thought it was unfair for the person who was spending hundreds of dollars going into the studio and doing a proper album, a proper recording, to have to come and, I won't even say compete, because the little storehouse recording got more airplay than the professional one. And so I'm wondering, is that now in play with regards also to gospel music?
It's straight across the board. It is very much inclusive of gospel music. One of the persons on the panel is Kashigan Adderley. Kashigan is one of the announcers for 107.9. And this doesn't only pertain to music, it pertains to the religious programs that play on that station as well. We have had some persons in the past who have allowed certain things to pass through. Such that person is retired, thank God. So we're looking to clean up what's been happening. So there have been several programs that I have said to them, sent an email, say your program ain't gonna play today. If you can get me something before I leave at 4 o'clock, that's fine. If not, we'll see you next time. You can straighten it out with sales. But you have to get to the point where you start to say no to some people for them to change the way that they're doing things, because if you don't do that, then it will always be business as usual. So I know I'm new and I'm coming into this post probably about a year now, but I've been complaining for a very long time. So now that I'm in a position to be able to change some things, I'm more than happy to do that. And I'm more than happy to tell you that your program ain't gonna fly.
All right, well, thank you, Melissa. Jamal can attest to that. We would have those issues with Joy in terms of the type and the quality of music that we would get from Joy when we started Joy, and then some of the church programs. We also would get that problem, and flipping the script over into sales, we used to get that problem, and some of you may still get that problem, even when it comes to people who record commercials. It's like, that's not, the quality of that ad is not good enough, and we would have to tell them to go back and re-record that ad before we could play it. So we run into those types of issues, and just to give you, and Tony can relate to this, what I'm about to say, when we started 100 Jamz back in 1993, and I'm only one other than Tony that been in the business that long. Back in 1993, we ran into an issue when we first put the station on in terms of quality, the quality of Bahamian music. And back then it was more so geared towards the traditional sound than it is now, with the young people doing reggae, doing hip hop, doing different genres of music. Where we had to fight with artists because of what ZNS was doing in the past. Because at that point in time, it was throw it up against a wall and play whatever sticks, and play everything and anything. And some of the artists, I know the older artists are not a part of this. Sweet Emily's in here, and I won't say she's an older artist, but she'll relate to this also. Some of the artists would get very upset. And they will tell you to this day, they would call me everything but a child of God, because I wouldn't play some of the music that was coming to the radio station. And then we would also get, back in the day, where people would drop off, like they said, the blank CDs, and they would be upset because we wouldn't play the CD. We couldn't play the CD, and we wouldn't listen to the CD because we didn't know who the CD was, where it came from, or anything to do with the CD. We would also run into situations where, and this is just history, I don't get this too much. Well, I won't say that. People would say to us, well, if you're not gonna play my CD, Eddie, you might've heard this before, Tony too, give me my CD back.
Yes.
Like, what? Like, so,
how about they ask you to copy, make a copy from the CD and give them
right.
that master back.
Like it was the last CD they had.
Yeah.
And the thing about doing things like that, it puts a bad taste in the program director's mind and mouth, because you may have something good, but you're not fostering a great relationship. As Big L said, yeah, you can get out there now, you can do the groundwork, you can do the social media, you can make a song bubble up from the streets, where radio will definitely be like, okay, we gotta play this, and then if it's a song like that, quite naturally, all the program directors that are on the panel today and the DJs that are on the panel today, they will go out and they will find that song. I have I have DJs come to me now. If they hear a particular song, they'll call me up and they'll say, man, Eric, you got this, you got that. And I'm quite sure the other guys run into that also. Or we will go, man, you got this song, you got that song, because we know it's a good song and it needs to be heard. Unfortunately, for the artist, and sometimes fortunately for the artist, if the PD has a good ear, we do become the gatekeepers. And a lot of the artists don't like that. But somebody's got to be the gatekeeper. And the artists also have to remember that for us, it is a business. And we are trying to do a specific thing based on the audience that we're trying to cultivate. So I understand that, you guys want your music played. For a perfect example, and I think Sammy Starr is on here, Julian is on here, they will understand that sometimes as an artist, you can't be that close to the music. You are too close to the music. So sometimes your emotional attachment to the music creates, is not good, because you can't look at it from either the PD's point of view and what he's trying to do, or you can't look at it from the public's point of view and what likes and dislikes, because your friends, and I'll tell you this, your friends will tell you just about everything you do is great, but then when it hits Eddie's desk, Eddie's going to be like, that's not that good. And that's not that great, because he is the gatekeeper of that thing which he and his family has invested in, which is Island FM. And that goes for all of the program directors, I think, on the panel right now. They have to be mindful of what they put on the air, and it has to fit. And as Jamal said, I know Jamal had to run. I meant to tell you guys he wasn't going to be. Oh, he's still there. He came back. But as Jamal said, and some of the other PDs said, we only have so many slots. We only have so much music that we can play at any one given time. And
especially prime.
Especially prime, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then there's certain, and it might change a little bit between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. depending on, it might get a little bit younger depending on the type of station that it is. But if from week to week, and I'm moving music through rotations, then I might have 2 or 3 slots available that week to put on a new song if I'm sticking to a particular rotational format that I'm doing. If I have 12 new songs that I'm playing, if I have 14 hot songs that are hot, what we call A rotation songs that are playing, we put them in different categories based on how they move through our rotations. So from week to week, I might only have 1 or 2 slots available. So sometimes your song may have to wait. It's not that the PD doesn't want to play it. Now, if it's the best thing since sliced bread, he can push some stuff out of the way. That's just gonna happen. But if it's on par, done well enough to be played, then your song might have to wait a week, or it might wait 2 weeks. But it may get in there, and then you just continue to foster that relationship with that PD or that radio station in order to make sure that he recognizes your material the minute it hits his desk, and on those days when he is going to listen to music. And I'll step back here and give the other guys an opportunity, or Dyson, you can bring some of the questions forward if you so choose.
Well, before Dyson does that, I just want to add something to that, Eric. Another thing a lot of Bahamian artists do as well is they'll hit you up on Thursday and say, hey, I have a song that I'm releasing tomorrow, and I want it in rotation. That doesn't work. Especially if you're a programmer, like for instance, like I said, I program 5 stations. So by Thursday, my programming is done for the week. So, you just got to get to us earlier. If you're a well-known artist, and I give praises to Wendy, Dyson, Dylan, they hit you ahead of time. Hey, listen, KB, I have a song. I'm going to release it in 2 weeks. I'm going to send it to you. Let me know what you think. So you can make room for it. You can prepare for it. But if you send me a song today and say, hey, I'm releasing it tomorrow, the most you may get is a spin, but it won't go into my rotation probably until the following week. And a lot of artists get mad because you cannot accommodate them when they want you to.
Right. And as Jamal said, that happens to me also. We do play 100% Bahamian music, but sometimes an artist will say, I'm dropping a song tomorrow. And I'll be like, okay, I can slide it in tomorrow a couple of times, but I've already done my music log for the week. So I'll put it in, but it's not going to play probably for another week because of the timing that we got it. And and any of the other program directors feel the same way? They can chime in.
I agree with you, Eric. Sometimes, well, like the more known artists will hit you up and say, look, I'm releasing a song, I'm going to send it to you at such a time. And when you get it and you listen to it, you figure, oh man, I got to get this on. And you're not getting it in rotation right then, but you are getting it to introduce it to the public. And then a couple of days, you get it into rotation. And also, you get some artists who send you a song, and then they want an interview right away. It's not gonna happen like that. I mean, there are some artists and some songs that they hope you figure, okay, this is hot. I'm gonna make a space for this interview, but some it's not the same. So don't expect when you send a song that you can request an interview. Like, okay, the song is coming out today. Can you interview me today or tomorrow to introduce the song? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Tony said, the other thing as well, at least for me, the way that I look at it, if you have a song and it's an urban song and you only send it to 100 Jamz, and then Jamz has been killing it for the last 6 weeks, and then you just remember to send it to me, don't think that I'm going to be gun-ho and running to go and hurry up and get it on in rotation. If you're selling a product, which is yourself, which is your music, and it's an urban stock, then you send it to all of the urban radio stations. Because that's just, if Jamz is the only, or any of the other radio stations, if that's the only radio station that you want to have your song playing on, then stay there. I mean, and as artists, you shouldn't, I tell artists this all the time. I don't want you to be just affiliated with Hot 91. I'm not upset if you go and you send your music to Jamz and they decide to play it. But if you've never sent it to me, and 6 weeks later, after they didn't pound it in the ground, now you want to send it to me? Well, I'm not jumping up to go and play your song. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, so, I mean, we all have email addresses, and some of you somehow get our cell phone numbers, which I'm still trying to figure out exactly who's giving out the cell phone numbers, but some of you have access to, and I've literally had to block artists. Because it's like they send me an email and they expect that I am supposed to, and maybe it's Eddie caused this, I'm supposed to check their email right away as it comes in.
Sorry, man.
Right? Again, we have a lot on our plates. Sometimes that there's a lot going on. And for me, I need to be in the right mental place. Any of these programs, I never understood how dealing with talent was stressful. And I until I became a program director. So
now you know how I felt dealing with you.
Yeah. So it's like, we have a lot of other responsibilities that we have to tie in. And so for me to listen to your music and really appreciate it, I wait until I get in the right mental space. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to fully give myself to your music. So I don't want any other distractions. I want to be able to literally sit down and listen to your song. And I guess one of the last thing is certain program directors, when they say, well, how come this guy played it and you didn't play it? Well, Jamal might have liked what he heard. He's the gatekeeper for that station. Eric might have liked what he heard. He's the gatekeeper for that station. There's certain things for me that I don't like personally. And so, like Mr. Roberts was saying, like, like it shouldn't be one person. Well, in 99.99% of radio stations, it's one person. It's one person that's the gatekeeper. Like for me personally, I don't like the use of the N-word. I know we get away with it with the US market. They pop the N-word in all over the place. I kind of hold my local artists a little different standard. And I'm like, listen, especially if I know they have a studio, like I know they have their own studio. I'm like, just go back and take out the N-words for me. Because me personally, I don't like that. Excitement may like that. Joe Koolz may like that, different radio stations. So you have to learn the program or music director. You have to learn what it is that they like and what they don't like. And it's nothing personal. I could tell you that. I've worked at, quite a few radio stations. Me and Jamal have never had a conversation where we're like, well, we blackballing this guy. We ain't playing him. There is no back channel. If your song is that good, you think it's that good, but none of us are playing it, it may be a sign that maybe your song is not as good as you think it is.
And to be honest with you, for the artist, as you can see, all of us know each other or have some connection to each other, except for Melissa. She just kind of sneaking in there right now. But all of us have either worked together in some capacity or have some, well, I guess I got a connection to just about everybody to a certain extent, some type of connection to each other. And I can say to you, there is no conversations that I've ever heard where PDs have got together and said, we're not going to play this artist. We're not going to do this thing, because everybody respects each other enough to say, nah, that's not a conversation that we need to have. You know what I'm saying? So Dyson, unless Joe Koolz or Big L, you want to guys chime in on that conversation before I hand it over to Dyson?
I'm good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dyson.
Oh my God, let me make sure. Anyone else?
No, go ahead, bro.
I saw that Aslian Jadot, he popped in speaking. I think that was along the lines of radio format again about, let me see, suppose you don't like a particular song or genre, but your audience does and they request it. Okay, so let's start there. There's a few things. You guys said a whole lot of things that point us in a whole lot of direction. There's one key thing that I do want to get artists to take into consideration before we jump on that question about song request. I know this, the radio station does not work for the artists. I think that's something that you guys can speak to. You're not like some artists would think, oh, you guys need our music in order to have a radio station, or you push to have music in order for your radio station to run. Without music, your radio station won't run, which in some essence is true. But the focus of the radio station, I want you to speak to why radio stations exist and how you guys make your money and what motivates you to come to work every day. Can you just speak to that right quick?
I'll go first on that one. I guess the best thing about my job is I'm not motivated by money, thank goodness, or else I'd be very disappointed. I'm motivated, I think, mostly by, and I guess it comes from where I come from as an individual, in the sense that we're all about promoting the best of the Bahamas and Bahamians. And as Eric and the rest of the guys said, we would never get together, and we always want our musicians to succeed. We want, when we play a new piece of music from an artist, regardless of who that artist is, we want that to be well received. We want to be able to sit there and say, hey, we had to play this new D-Max song 12 times a day, because not only did I like it, but everybody around the station like it, people calling in and requesting it. That's exactly what we do want. So I get motivated by just success for Bahamians, be perfectly honest with you. There's nothing financial in it for us at Island FM. Goodness gracious. Our bankers will tell you it's the exact opposite. We are actually paying money to help push your music right now. I'm losing money every month trying to promote Bahamian music and culture, no, it's all about the best of the Bahamas and best for the country for us. And I think the other PDs always want the best for their Bahamian musicians. Go ahead, guys.
Well, I agree with you, Eddie. I am motivated by, I love what I do and interacting with people. I grew up on Bahamian music. So when there's good Bahamian music to be played, I want to play it. And so I want, like Eddie said, I want my Bahamian artists to also be successful. And so when I go to work and when I program, there's got to be a good a percentage of Bahamian music in there because, like Eddie said, we want the Bahamas to be represented. We not only heard here in the Bahamas, we heard all over the world. We get emails from all over the world all the time, and people are listening to the stations. So we want the Bahamas to be well represented, and want you guys to make some money too. When I write a check to the PRS, I want the greater portion of that to be going to you guys. So that is what motivates me to go to work. Okay.
Well, I guess I'll go. What motivates me, I just love the music. You know what I'm saying? And I basically have like a little hustler in me that I know for sure as long as I got good music is gonna sell. So all of the whole going to work, playing the hot songs, I know for sure the advertisement is gonna come along with it. So it's just like everybody said before me. There's no way I'm gonna sit down and say I'm not playing this song because of whatever personal reason. It's never personal. I love good music, and good music will always be played. You know what I mean? Because I know for sure good music is gonna help me sell my station a whole lot easier. So that's basically the whole motivation behind what I do and my old programming in my head. So, I mean, at any point in time, you can send it. You know what I mean? I can sit there and listen when I have the time. But like Eric said, I make the time and I only actually have 1 or 2 days that I actually have a mind frame to accept, for my brain to actually accept something brand new, because I have so much other stuff going on besides programming the radio station. I have personal projects that I'm doing also. So when I get to the music, I actually want to make sure that my mind is super clear. So when I do take it in, I fully take it in and I can make a good decision. And most of the time I do. And that's basically what I do. Play the music that comes to me. No point in time I'm ever going to deny a hot song. I don't care who it is. That's on the BBF.
So I wanna count on probably C Note or Big L to stop coddling these artists and tell us exactly how radio stations make their money.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've never sat down with my GM and Tony, who's my boss as well, and Tony's never said to me, you have to play a certain amount of Bahamian artists or you can't play a certain amount of Bahamian artists. He's never said that to me. No other radio station that I've ever been to has ever said that to me either. What they do care about is, at the end of the day, are we making money? Now is, if, because I've had Bahamian artists say to me, oh, you should be playing more Bahamian artist songs. Well, at the end of the day, outside, ZNS is the only one that gets any sort of money from the government, as far as I know. The rest of us, we got to go out here on the street and find, yes, Melissa, don't laugh. We got to go here on the street and we got to find this money. So each one of these program directors, our number one concern is, if I play this song, is this going to make people stay and listen or cause them to click and go away? Right. And every time they click and go away, that's dollar signs leaving me. Right. So what we have to do is really focus on, hey, can we keep the majority of these listeners listening for a longer period of time, which benefits us? Granted, we don't have a rating system here, and everyone, runs a station ID saying that they're number one or they're the most listened to, and all this other sort of stuff. But my number one focus is that, is this song good enough? Is this going to attract more listeners to come and listen to me, or is people going to listen to this and say this is trash? I'm not listening to this song. And so it's a balancing act. It really is a balancing act. I don't hold, at least for me as a program and music director, I hold Bahamian artists the exact same threshold of quality and sound that I hold You know, Jay-Z too, when he sends, you know, when we get a song from him or any other US artist, I'm looking for that same sort of quality. But because you are a Bahamian artist, I will say, you know what, the song is pretty decent. This is on the borderline. Quality wise, I'll give it a run. I'll give it some spins.
Yeah, but along with
sorry,
you,
go ahead.
Dyson, along with you giving it some spins, it's a partnership. You
Yeah.
could take radio and you could put a radio in your new category, but if the artist isn't doing their part, doesn't make any sense. Artists feel, some artists feel like they drop their music off to the radio station. Once it gets played, their job is done. You got to promote your own music. You have to promote yourself. I always tell people, if you're not willing to invest 100% into you, why should I invest into you? Doesn't make any sense. I have a new artist I met with today. He lives in the Grove. Talented, very talented guy. He went away to school. He came back. He has a full studio. He recorded a song last night. He called my phone at 2 o'clock this morning. I don't know how he got my number. 2 a.m. So rather than blocking him, I answered the phone and I asked him to come and see me today. Sat down, heard his story. Yeah, man, I do the song in the studio last night. This is the hardest new joint. I need this to be on a high rotation. So a lot of artists lack knowledge, not just on format, not just on the proper way to submit your music. They don't, I'm trying to find a good way to say it without sounding disrespectful, but a lot of these newer artists feel like it's all about them.
No humility, man. Say that, Excitement. They ain't humble.
Excitement, they think they arrived.
Yeah.
They think they've arrived. That's what
They're
it
not
is.
humble at all.
No.
I could share this. I could share this story, and D-Mac could attest to this. One guy that was incredibly talented, and probably, at least for me, and I'm sure from other guys here, had heard no to some of his songs. He's not with us anymore, but I always share this story. Was MDs. You know, MDs would send out music, I'm sure, to a lot of different guys here, and we would give him feedback and say, you know, this is not the best song. This is not the best song. And as big and as successful as he was, and D-Max even heard that as well. Boy, well, this one ain't really hitting like that. And you know what? As big as they are, they accept that, right? And they say, you know what? You're right. See, I'm going to go back and I'm going to probably rework this song, or I won't start off with this particular song. So you have to have humility. That's the first thing. You have to have humility. And when we're saying no, it's not because we don't personally like you. There's songs that is on my station now with people that I don't personally like, you know, but it doesn't stop me from playing their song. It has nothing to do with that. Is it a good song? Is it not a good song? That's all I care about. Right.
So, and I'll chime in on that level with a story of an individual that all of you know very well. Years ago, I think it was before he did probably one of his best albums, which would have been back in the day when he did Biggest Box. So you guys know what I'm talking about. We had a conversation right in my backyard. It was myself, it was KB, it was Ira Store, it was, I can't remember who else was there, but we were having a discussion about music, and they were very upset because there's certain songs that I would not allow on the radio. And those of you who are PDs know that KB sometimes could not be the humblest person in the world. But he said to me, well, you know, Eric, I'm not gonna make any music anymore. I'm not gonna do anything anymore. I'm not performing anymore. He went down that whole thought process. And I simply said to them, and KB will tell you this story himself to this day, he will tell you this story. I've heard him share it before. I said to him, KB, let me explain something to you. Buddy, if you don't produce another song, the only person that you're hurting is you. The only people that you're hurting is the Bahamian people, because they now will not be able to experience your talent. I said, all we are asking you to do is to up the quality of your production and get your production skills and your production ducks in a row, and then come back and throw something on the table. And he took that to heart. And he came back. And when he came back smoking. We don't, people would get upset with me because they would sit in front of me while I listened to their music, and I would be just as stone faced as possible. I mean, I learned that from a PD in the US. I would sit there and just be as stone faced as possible. They could never tell whether I liked the song or not. I could be jumping for joy under the table, but they wouldn't know it. But then I would always say, if it was something that needed to be improved, I would give my constructive feedback as to what I thought needed to happen. And if they came back, all well and good, great, wonderful. And if they didn't feel, like Jamal said, they didn't want to invest in themselves. They didn't want to invest in the knowledge that they needed to have to improve the quality of their sound or the quality of their production. And I can tell you, and I'm gonna be quiet here, but I can tell you, DMAC is in the forum right now, and he will tell you that for many years, and especially over the last several years, we have been having a discussion, a continuous discussion about quality, the quality of production, the quality of your sound, so that you sound as big as, your production sounds as big as a Jay-Z. It sounds as big as a Beyonce. It sounds as big as a Michelle Montana. You know what I'm saying? So you, and your sonics have to be right. So when I put that song on, the emotion that you're trying to convey through your lyrical content, through your music, I can feel that. You know what I'm saying? I can feel that. And that's just a story I wanted to relay to you guys.
It's good stuff. I have a very controversial question. And the question is this: the way that Bahamian artists are, I guess, vetted musically, our music is vetted, and the way that we have to submit our music by sending it into the radio station, is there, and I can't really answer this, but for the sake of the other artists, how is it that you get your music from foreign artists, like the A-list artists or the B-list artists? Which pool do you pull from to get that, or do they also have to submit their music to the radio station the way that we have to?
I know what I play so much Bahamian music. I get very other content. The only other content I play at all is soca and reggae, and I gotta tell you, they send me the music direct.
And I think that's a question for like Big L, C-Note, Jamal, who more international stuff.
Joey. For me, the international music, especially when it comes to like hip hop, mainstream music and whatnot, there are a lot of charts that we can follow. So when based on however we decide to do our statistical research in terms of looking at multiple charts, seeing where songs fall, seeing where new songs lie, there are record labels and agencies that send music, but also we a lot of us use charts to determine whether we want to add songs to our rotation, where they would fall in our rotation, how they move in our rotation, because it's easier to follow those charts, not just Billboard charts, or not just the all access charts or the media based charts. Like, you try to look at a few different charts so you'd have a good understanding of what certain songs are doing across different markets. Because again, even though we're in the Bahamas, a lot of us stream online, so we still look at ourselves as stations competing in the international market as well, for listeners and notoriety. So we look at what other markets are doing as well. It's way harder for Caribbean music. There are a few soca charts, a few reggae charts that you can get a good feel on or what's not. There aren't, not that I know, but if there is, I apologize. But I don't know about any Bahamian charts per se that would allow us to compare and make a statistical decision based on where songs could fall or where should fall, which ones are new and bubbling. Like, a lot of it is literally up to our own discretion, and then beyond that, literally what the streets say as it relates to Bahamian music. And again, like the first thing I said, like how you market yourself. Like, if you're always seen, always heard, doing your marketing part, it's really hard to deny that this person should be played or should be heard.
Yeah, I can add to that. We get some marketing firms that will send you music, producers will send you music, managers will send you music once they would have researched your radio station and would have gotten the contacts. Sometimes they call you personally and say, look, I want to send you a song I want you to listen to, but you're not forced to play it. They're sending it for you to get feedback on to see if you would play it. Also, there are companies that would gather music and you have a subscription, and they send you every month. They will send you a batch of music, and you choose from what you want to play. Then again, it's your choice. You're not forced to play it. You play what would suit your audience, your format. So here we don't have that yet. We don't have any companies that would. The music is not being produced in abundance yet for that to happen, I think. But we get the individuals sending us music, and that's the way we get it here. But the pool is bigger, definitely in the U.S. that you have to choose from, or wherever else is coming from, England or wherever.
I just want to say that DJ Reds, if you work for me, you being distracted, you wouldn't be allowed in this format, okay? In this forum. You have to concentrate on being on the radio. But anything else, Dyson?
It's a lot. It's a lot, and I think let me see. Did I forget anything? Shadford was asking. I think you answered him in the chat already, but he was asking, you know, if a WAV file is too big to any sense, so we can move on forward from that. I believe you all addressed a lot, and I think what I would like for the artists, if they have any questions in that regard, what are the ways for record labels to connect more with radio stations? Here's a question. How do we, and who is it that should create that platform, whereas I guess it would be like the international ones that you pulled from, those type would act in the stead of a label or a marketing company locally, because I think we have personal managers that do what you're saying, you know, reach out to different program directors and share the music. And I believe the Jamz at one point, I remember seeing it in even Ireland, seeing in the newspaper, whereas there would be a top 10 list. How can we bring back something like that? What would be necessary in order for us to make that happen?
My partner and I, my partner flirted with it for a while to do a Bahamian chart, and to also invite artists to be a part of in a kind of artist group. But what has happened and what does happen is sometimes we don't get, through lack of participation, things fall to the wayside. And then sometimes we look at these charts of, say, I remember Jamal and Jamz, we used to do a chart at one point, and then I think it got discontinued for whatever reason, because it would only have been one entity providing the data. So it would take someone to gather that data from all of the radio stations in order to compile that. I don't think any one radio station is going to do that unless they wanted to just do it for themselves on their website or on their app or whatever. But it would take an outside company to conduct that research and gather that data and then produce that. And at the end of the day, people want to make, they want to make money. Then they will have to figure out, now, how do I monetize this information? And I'm going to be very, very blunt here. Eddie has kind of been alluding to it, but I can guarantee you that out of all the program directors and radio stations on this platform right now, Eddie and I make the least amount of money because of what we do and how we support playing Bahamian music. We get the most amount of pushback from the marketplace because of what we do. And fortunately and unfortunately, I was a part of creating that through the creation of Jamz. But at the end of the day, we look at it from the standpoint of we want to continue the life of Bahamian music. We don't want it to get overrun by hip hop and reggae and things of that nature. As you notice, that the music that plays in the airport now is 100% Bahamian music, and that's a part of something that I put in place and control. But what I'm saying is, it is very difficult for stations like ours. ZNS, as somebody once said, they get a subsidy from the government, and then they compete against us. But we have a very hard time maintaining what we do. I mean, and so if it was not a labor of love for us to a certain extent, I mean, to be honest with you, we could probably drop it tomorrow. And then you would definitely see, most likely ZNS would take over. Tony would probably push a little bit more, but you would now see how it would just slowly start to disappear. All right, it would definitely start to disappear. So we kind of keep it going. But I say that to say this, it would take an outside entity to create that chart and then begin to figure out how they're going to then monetize that. And then they would be able to put it out there into the world for people to be able to see, you know, how many spins are they getting on my station, Eddie's station, Hot, Tony, Big L, and those other stations, and then be able to look at what that chart looks like. But I can guarantee you that no one radio station is going to do that. It's going to take an outside entity.
Fair enough. We had a question just asking how record labels can get in touch with the program directors at various radio stations. I believe you guys have been dropping your emails in the chat. So I think that pretty much answers that. I mean, there was also a concern that the one program director at the respective radio station, if in fact that person has a personal issue with the song or with the artist, how would one, I guess, supersede that or still get the song played on that station? Like, is that even possible?
Hold on,
let me answer this.
Hold on, before I know him very well.
Turning my video off.
Send him some cupcakes, he'll be all right.
Well, I guess you could try what others have tried. They'll go to Tony and try to get Tony to force me to play it, or they will go, and Eric can speak about this, and I didn't really realize how much of a problem this was until I became, program and music director. They will then go to one of the radio personalities and try to get Reds them, and try to get Reds them to put it in rotation or to play it when they're not supposed to do that, which then gets the radio personality in hot water. That's not the way that it's supposed to be done. And Eric can speak to this. If I go and I slide your song in, let's say one of the artists in here, I go and I slide your song in, that's not on my log and you're not going to be paid for that. So I can do that 10 times, 20 times, whatever. If it's not in my log that I print out, that you're not going to, so what's the purpose? Why do that? Radio personalities are not supposed to be music directors. That's not what they're supposed to be. Your best bet is to go to the DJs. That's your best bet.
Yeah, your best bet is to go to a Reds when he's doing a function, to go to AI when he's doing a function, maybe go to Joey when Joey's outside of his air personality program director role when they're doing a function. Go to, I saw For Real, Reels in here. Go to Reels. Go to those guys and work the DJ circuit, because like we said earlier, the song can bubble up from the ground, from underground. You know, the song could bubble up. Now, we don't have clubs like we used to have clubs back in the day to a certain extent. Songs used to come out of the clubs to radio because the club DJs were playing certain songs. And then when I was younger, the PDs would be out in the clubs, would be out in these spaces and see the reaction. And if they didn't have the song, I mean, Eddie is shaking his head. If they didn't have the song, they'd walk up to the DJ and say, who is that? What is that? Where can I get that? Because that needs to be on the radio. So songs can bubble up from outside of the program director's sphere. If you're working that song outside with the DJs and you get it out to them, if you, like one of my DJs is DJ Rev. DJ Rev just called me because people send him music. He called me a couple of days ago and he sent me a song, and it was like, well, why the person didn't send it directly to me? But that's okay. This is a good song. You know what I'm saying? So that's an example of how a song can get to a program director that they did not directly send it to. Because,
you know, on that, before I go, I really enjoyed this, guys, but you know, Dad recorded Ronnie Butler doing Burma Road in the club on a Tuesday night, went to his show on a Wednesday, next Wednesday, and aired it. And that's how Burma Road, perhaps the, you know, #1 Bahamian song of all time, made it onto the airwaves. So it's right from a PD going out and working one-on-one with the artists, you know. And as I go, my dad, they did have a great relationship with the musicians in those eras. I mean, my dad and Ronnie Butler and Tony McKay and all that crew, they were friends, you know. So they would go to the clubs, you know. Dad would be there in the clubs with them, and he would take his little recorder with him. And like I said, if you heard the original recordings of Burma Road, you could hear us in a club. You know, it was at a club, most people was dancing, and he's just doing it. So the relationship between PDs and musicians are a very important one for both of us. And it's in both of our interests to maximize the relationship and for both of us. And so I look forward for the next time we get together with this chat. Eric, thanks for inviting me. Everybody have a great night, but the old man has to get ready for his morning shift tomorrow. Unlike Eric, who don't have to get up early in these mornings no more. I still doing this morning thing after 5 years. So I will say good night to everybody.
All right. Thank you very much, Eddie, for joining us. And, I want to piggyback on this, and I know Tony's got to do his morning show, and so does C-Note, but I want to piggyback on this for the artists. The relationship aspect is a fantastic way to help promote the things that you are doing in terms of your music career. If you're having a function, don't forget about think about it this way. Even with the air personalities and the PDs, they are on the air 4 to 5 days a week for 4 hours at a time, right? Those are the people who speak directly to the audience. I mean, we got the social media things and all of that stuff going on. Okay, that's well and great. That's wonderful. But they speak to the audience. They speak to them in a way that that sometimes you can't. And if you're doing a function, or you're having an event, or you're doing something, don't necessarily think about it from the standpoint of, well, man, you know, I can't invite, you know, man, because that's $20 I ain't gonna make. You know what I'm saying? Or I can't ask Jamal to come or Big L to come because, man, I can't give them no free ticket. You're looking at it from the wrong standpoint, because at the end of the day, you want to create a relationship with that individual so that when you drop an album, they pay attention. When you drop a song, they pay attention to you. You want to get to a point where if Jamal picks up the phone and he calls you and says to you, hey man, come on the station, let's do an interview. Hey man, come sit in on this show. You want to get up and you want to go. You want to be a part of that because it exposes you. We had an artist contact us the other day, and he wanted us to feature him on one of our live shows. He did a roundabout way of getting on the show because I told him what he needed to do, and then he went around me and went to somebody else. But I said, okay, fine. I could put him on the show, no problem. We're gonna feature him on the show, and then the artist don't show up. So you shoot yourself in the foot. So I know him. He probably could come back and talk to me about it, but we haven't heard from him since. But he wanted, you know what I'm saying? So create these relationships with the PDs, create these relationships with the air personalities, and invite them to some of the things that you're doing, because those are the people who are going to help in this particular market. And who knows what outreach they have. Like, I know tons of people outside this market that I could possibly from time to time send music to or communicate with, or who will ask me what's going on here, what's going on there. And I'm quite sure all of the PDs have that relationship outside of the market with different radio stations where they can funnel music to or send music to, or say, hey man, I think this is something you might be interested in. But if there's no relationship there, unless it's the biggest song since sliced bread, it's not going to happen. So don't discount the air personalities, don't discount the PDs, because those are the people who can help promote what it is that you're doing through the medium that they have available to them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like Jamal said earlier, this is a partnership. This is a thing that we do together. And you know, and the bigger you are, the bigger we are. We in this game together. If one of us rises to the top, then that gives recognition to all of us. And you can take a perfect example of that from Stephen Gardner and Shawnee. That rises all of us to the top. And I'll leave it to Dyson to close out. And if any other PDs want to have a say, they can go ahead. If there are any more questions, then Dyson, you can put them on before we go.
One other comment. If you're having a function, you are advertising, don't forget your local radio station. Some people figure that Facebook and social media is the way to go, but when you spend with social media, that money is gone someplace else. It's not in the local economy. So, you know, if we supporting you, we expect you to support us too. Okay.
That's beautiful, Tony. And I mean, everything that everyone has said has been, I learned some things. I'm sure everyone else has as well. Thank you, program directors. This is something that I would like for us to do more often, because I'm sure that there are a lot of persons that didn't get to eat some of this food. And yeah, I mean, I guess everyone that showed up has displayed, I think, to the program directors how much we would like to create a relationship, foster a relationship with you all. And if there's anything that we can do, I say this to program directors all the time, is there anything that the artist community can do to help you all, like Tony just said, let us know. Let us know. We would be willing as well. And let's see if we can stomp out all of these crazy concepts and misunderstandings about what we do, about what you guys do, and how it relates to what we do. So thanks everybody for coming to this Zoom. This is really Eric Ward's brainchild, but something that I really wanted to do. Like I said, C-Note and Big L and I did something before, but it wasn't this fancy because we was in with the boss, Eric. So now we then level up. We level up and we gonna keep this thing going. Y'all go out and make some great music. Make sure it's mixed and mastered properly, so that you know they can't say no. Take out the cuss words. C-Note doesn't like the N word. Make sure and you know ZNS have to play music for the Grammys and the granddaddies and the young people too. So you you know, some people on the different islands only have ZNS to listen to, and you don't want to offend them. So make sure that your music is you know, across the board palatable. And that's me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. It's been really, really great. And like Dyson said, I think we should do this more often. And I will also suggest that when you guys, let's say some of you are going to be releasing music, let's say Dyson releasing today, DMAC tomorrow, Julian or whatever the next day. Let's have a listening party instead of, just dropping them one by one. Let's have a listening party.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and that could go a long way to help promote the music a little bit more, get different people together to have discussions about the music. That would be a great idea if some of the artists would get together to do that. Or I know I've been to DMAC studio and listened to songs, and some of us have done things like that. But the more we do things like that with the PDs and inviting some of the air personalities in, and I can tell you all of the air personalities know each other. It's some way, shape, or form. We all know each other. So it's a small community of people that you can get together to do these kinds of things with. All right. Okay, guys. Unless any of the other PDs have anything to say, I think we can close out now.
I think the only thing, I think the last thing, I don't think we really said this. If you guys do happen to get I know Excitement said, if you do happen to get a phone number of a program director, right? Don't abuse that privilege, because that's not a privilege that American artists generally, like a guy that's unknown, that is not a privilege that they get. So don't abuse it. We work 9 to 5 generally, and to say this is our responsibility to the station. It goes longer than outside of that, but regular business hours is when you should reach out to us, not 10 o'clock in the night. Hey, did you listen to my email yet? So if you get that privilege of having the phone number of the program director, form a relationship, not just I'm hitting you up, once in a blue moon because I'm releasing a song. Foster a relationship, and then don't abuse it.
Well, the emails I in the link that Eric sent out, so you will see them.
Great stuff, everyone. So I'm out, y'all. Good night. Wash your hands.
Curfew's 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
that's the new thing.
We gotta go before we get unlocked, before we get arrested by the COVID police.
He's ends at 9.
The Prime Minister spoke.
Yes.
Yeah, he spoke. Yeah. So you'll see it in WhatsApp in a minute.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyway, such is life.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Good night, man. All right.